Hey guys, welcome back to Pure Foodies TV. I'm Jody, and today we are making a vegan Nicoise salad. And I'm super excited about this recipe because not only do I love vegan food, not only do I love fruits and vegetables, but I'm a huge fan of French food. One of my favorite salads that I ever ate was on my honeymoon in Maui, so it wasn't in France, although I have been there and loved it. I was in Maui at, I think it was the Fairmont Resort with my husband. We're on our honeymoon, and I ordered this Nicoise salad, and it was the best salad I have ever eaten. So I order it often because, like I tell my clients, look for recipes on the menus that are full of vegetables, and this one definitely is. So I wanted to recreate it in a way that you could have it if you're vegan, if you're vegetarian, if you are a meat eater. No matter what diet you're on, you can use these flavors and customize it to your liking. So I'll give you the basic profile, and then if you want to see how many of these recipes you have on hand, you can join in now, or you can make it later on this week. So we're gonna start out with a big bowl. So I always like to have my even lunches at home, like in a nice white bowl, so it looks a little bit more gourmet, even if you're just eating alone, because there's a mindfulness factor that's really important when it comes to slowing down and absorbing our food. So your ingredient list for this recipe, if you want to take some notes, is going to be classic green beans. We're going to have cucumbers, so I usually recommend English cucumbers because they don't have seeds. Tomatoes, using a combination of small mini tomatoes. These are fresh from the garden, so it's a good time of year for this. We're going to use red onion. We're going to use red potatoes. We're using fennel, and I made a special dressing out of olive. So it's similar to an olive tapenade, and it's super fast, super easy. So there's even a shortcut I'll tell you about when we get to it in case that's too much work for you. Okay, so this is super fast, super easy, and like I said, it can be fancy enough to serve at a dinner party if you like to entertain as well. Okay, so let me tell you what we have going here already in the kitchen. So one thing that I like to do is always have some frozen vegetables on hand because they last longer, they don't go bad, and you know, if you have a bigger family, you're always going to be stocked up with something nutritious that's filling as well. So I always keep organic green beans from the frozen section in my freezer because you can buy them in bulk. You can get them organic. It's a great price. And you can avoid the chopping off of all the end pieces and save yourself some time. So all I did today to get these ready was to steam them a little bit over boiling water. Another tip that you could do is just to put them in a glass dish the day before in your refrigerator, and they'll be ready to go, because in a Nicoise salad, they're usually fresh or just lightly steamed. So far in our bowl that I've prepped for us is the green beans that are steamed, chopped English cucumber. This is about one full English cucumber, and half tomatoes from the garden, okay? So another twist on this salad is that it's not full of leafy greens. And although I'm a huge fan of leafy greens, and you could definitely use any variety here, this is going to be a little bit of a different type of vegetable salad where we're not using the classic plain greens as our base, okay? So, and if you wanted to, I would probably do something like spinach or arugula. It would pair it really nicely. Okay, so next, potatoes. I love potatoes. Potatoes are amazing for your health, and you don't need to be afraid of them. They won't make you gain weight. That is a lie. So they're actually really soothing to the digestive system and have a lot of antibacterial properties. So these are just organic. You could use the red ones, you could use the plain ones, you could use the yellow ones, whatever you have. All I did was boil these for about 5 minutes in water and add a little bit of sea salt. And so they're soft and they're ready to go. And so all we're gonna do right now is just to cut them into either halves or into quarters, depending on if you wanna make them bite-sized or a little bit bigger. Anything goes though. So we're just gonna chop our boiled potatoes and then add them to our vegetable bowl that we have going already. And they cut super fast, really easily, because they're just lightly cooked. And I usually recommend, if you're going to cook your potatoes, to steam them, to boil them a little bit, or to bake them is just really, really easy, and it's actually the best way to keep the nutrients intact that you want to receive the benefits that way. And then you can, you know, put the extras in your refrigerator if you have any left. I have a husband, so I don't usually have any left unless I cook it this time of day until he gets home from work. So, okay. So far, isn't that pretty already? Even if you had like no flavors besides the actual foods, it would still taste super good. Okay, so next, we have 3 things going on over here. First, I told you we were gonna use red onion and fennel. So I love onions, but the caveat is I don't like them raw, because then you have bad breath for 3 days. And who wants that? So I usually just like to caramelize my onions, and that just means to lightly saute them. So turn your pan on medium or even a little bit lower and spray it with the oil of your choice. I'm using olive oil today. And I did thinly sliced red onions. I had a little bit left over. If you don't have one of these guys, go and grab one. I have a yellow one, I have a red one, I have one for tomatoes. And they're great because then produce doesn't go bad in your refrigerator, and you can keep it separate so the onion flavors don't protrude into your other fresh produce. So I had an episode when I was a kid where my apples taste like onions for weeks, and it was because they were in the same refrigerator section. So this will keep that from happening. And I just use half of an onion and slice them. And then we're sauteing them on the pan. Let me grab it. Okay, so this is what it looks like so far. Onions and fennel. And actually, the reason that I wanted to do this specific recipe was also because of my mother. And she said, you know, you girls always are making these fun recipes, and I don't even know what fennel is. So I thought, hey, Mom, I'm going to make this for you so you can be very familiar with fennel. One tip that it looks like when you buy prepped in the market. So there's 2 in a package. If you shop at Trader Joe's, this is where I got this one. Usually you'll see like the fronds are very large, and you can definitely use them or use these little greens. It's a little bit looking like dill. If you wanted to add that as a topping, as a little bit more of a flavor enhancer at the end. But usually I just cut off the bulb section from where the stems start shooting out and the base, peel the outer layer, and then slice it just like you do your onion. So that's what I did with the other one. And we know fennel has a great licoricey flavor. And you guys know I'm a health coach, so I have to talk about the health benefits of these foods. So fennel is a great, great, great food for digestive problems. So if you're feeling nauseous, if you're feeling an upset stomach, it's super soothing for those reasons. So you could chomp on it raw. You could steep it in some water and make yourself some fennel tea, and it would be really calming for the gut, which we always want, right? But in this case, we are just doing a light saute, and all this is, again, is red onion, olive oil, 1 fennel bulb thinly sliced with salt and pepper. And I love doing this type of combination. So there's definitely raw ingredients in a lot of my salads, but there's usually some kind of lightly cooked layer as well. And what I call these are warm salad bowls. So you get a little bit of warmth, you get a little bit of raw. So whichever way you prefer, it's balanced, or you could go all raw, or you could do more cooked. It's up to you. But regardless, you're getting tons of vegetables and tons of nutrition. Okay, so I'm just gonna put some of this in my bowl with the green beans, with the potatoes, with the tomatoes, and with the cucumbers. And you wouldn't even have to do all of these ingredients, but they're super good and classic foods for a Nicoise salad. And some of you might be wondering, why am I not doing tuna? So tuna is also very popular for Nicoise salads, we know. And the reason I'm not doing tuna is I just wanted to make a vegan recipe for one element. That's a high mercury content fish, and so if you're focused a little bit more on your health, which a lot of my clients are right now, then that's one thing that you probably want to limit and avoid, especially if you're a pregnant woman or if you're a woman that wants to become pregnant. You want to limit the tuna because of the mercury level. So we're just making it vegan today, but we do have a plant protein that we're going to be adding to the top. Okay, but let's talk about the dressing next. So here we go. This is what we're looking like right now. This is the bowl I usually eat my lunch in, by the way. It's this big. Maybe not this full part of the time, but this is what I usually eat my lunch in. And okay, so the next thing is the dressing. And one element of a salad like this is usually black olives or some kind of olives. So I thought, let's make a dressing that's not just a plain old lemon vinaigrette, because that's commonly used and that's good and fine, but let's do something a little bit different. Instead of just putting black olives that are sliced up onto the bowl itself, let's make a dressing with black olives as the base. So that's what I did. I had a can of organic olives, popped it open, rinsed them off, and I put about 1/2 to 3/4 in my little tiny blender jar. I've been super into using this. I use this for my shakes in the morning, but if I don't want to get my big Vitamix out, these work really, really good for dressings. So this is included in here. Black olives, a little bit of the liquid. Then I did about 1 to 2 tablespoons of olive oil. And the olive oil I use actually had a little bit of a lemon infusion, so that's a good pairing. Fits really well with this kind of flavor. I did sea salt, I did a little pepper, and then we took roasted red pepper. Let me grab it and show you. Okay, so you can buy roasted red peppers in the jars, right, at the stores, and if you do, make sure that they don't have citric acid because that's a corn derivative, and make sure there's no sugar added. So if you don't want to do that, it's so easy to roast your own vegetables, and you can do tons of things with them, from dressings to tapenades to sauces. There's so many things you can do. So I just took 3 peppers, a yellow, a red, and an orange. Good nutrients in the end. I washed them and I sprayed them with olive oil and put them in my oven at 375. And that's it. You can see I use this Silpat liner. I don't like to bake cookies really because I don't like to measure, but I use it for vegetables all the time. So I poked holes in these. They were done. I took 1/2 of the red pepper and I threw it into my olive dressing to add a little bit more sweetness to this. So we know olives are salty already, so you don't, especially the brine, and since we did put a little bit of that fluid in this, I didn't add very much salt, so you'll have to do that to taste. And then 2 cloves of garlic, and you can do this the cheater way, which is to buy it already peeled. You can buy it already chopped if you want. You could even use organic garlic powder to be even faster. So this is just the roasted red pepper, the olives, the salt, the pepper, and olive oil, and that's it. So super easy. Okay, then I blended it up and I tasted it to make sure it tastes really good, and it does in fact taste excellent. And it's ready to go. So we're gonna dress the salad, but we just have one more thing to add. Let's actually put this on the salad first. So here's our salad. You guys see that? And we're just gonna drizzle this over the top. You could definitely make this a little bit thicker and turn it into just like a dip for vegetables or something by itself as well. Okay. This looks so good. All right, so that's there. I told you that we're going to use a plant protein. So we're not using tuna or chicken or anything like that today, but we're going to add chickpeas as our plant protein. But I did a little bit of a step ahead for the chickpeas, and I rinsed them off and patted them dry. I spritzed those with olive oil and sea salt, and this good flavor combo, which is a seaweed gamasio, and I use this a lot for seasoning proteins and veggies. It's sesame seeds, seaweed, and sea salt. So you're getting more minerals, more plant-based elements from the sea in your stomach, which is amazing, and they're good detoxifiers. So I just added that to the chickpeas with some salt, and we toasted them. So not only are we adding protein, but we're adding a crunchy texture to the top of the salad, okay? And they look like this. Okay, so you can see them here. They're like crunchy little snacks. And this is a good snack you can make if you want something that isn't, you know, too processed. Definitely make these in a snap. And you can buy these in the store, but it's hard to find them without a kind of a vegetable oil that's not so healthy. So it's easy to make them on your own. Okay, so we're just gonna add a few of our crunchy chickpeas. By the way, these are also called garbanzo beans. Some people don't know that. I realize in the restaurant sometimes I order them, and if you call them the wrong name, people might not know what you're talking about. Okay, we're topping this off. And it looks delicious. Okay. Green beans, sauteed fennel and red onion, boiled potatoes, tomatoes cut in half, English cucumber with an olive tapenade dressing, and roasted chickpeas on top. Delicious. So I hope you guys can make this at home. It's so easy, it's so fast, it's so nutrient dense. I am going to take a picture. I will put all the ingredients in a recipe for you. So make sure that you are following me on my blog, on my website, and on my Instagram. And of course, here on Pure Foodies TV, make sure you hit the red subscribe button so you can get all my weekly updates and upcoming recipes. And I'll talk to you next time. Thanks.